I never believed in ghosts. Not really. I was a man of science, a deep-sea historian specializing in maritime disasters. My life revolved around facts, timelines, corroded metal, and archival photos. So when the opportunity arose to join a private expedition to the wreck of the RMS Titanic, I saw it as a crowning achievement in a life of rational pursuit. We descended into the North Atlantic like specters ourselves, enclosed in a custom submersible named Calypso 4. It was claustrophobic and cold even with the state-of-the-art tech. The pilot Lorna sat quietly in the front module, her hands gliding over the controls with practiced ease. Beside me sat Ben, a documentary filmmaker. I was the only one among us who had studied Titanic's layout by heart, who could recite passenger rosters from memory. I thought it would insulate me from surprise. It didn't. The descent took hours, each meter darkening the ocean around us until the only light came from our flood lamps. When the bow of the Titanic emerged from the shadows like a sleeping leviathan, I felt something stir, not awe, but dread. The ship lay broken, yes, but not dead. It was too intact in some terrible disjointed way, like a corpse that refused to rot. We're passing over the promenade deck now, I said, more to myself than anyone. My breath fogged the viewport. First-class cabins should be off to the left. Ben raised his camera. Think we'll see ghosts? He joked. I didn't laugh. We navigated the debris field in silence, the beams from the sub's lights catching on, rusted deck chairs, teacups, a child's porcelain doll with no eyes. As we drifted over the grand staircase, I felt the temperature in the cabin drop, despite the heating system. Lorna frowned. We're losing cabin heat. I checked my instruments. Nothing explained it. Then faintly, through the static of the internal speakers came a sound, music, tinny, warped and distant, but unmistakable. Nearer, my God, to thee. Ben stared at the speaker, pale. That's not coming from us, is it? I shook my head. No one had loaded anything like that into the comms. The lights flickered. Lorna tapped the console. Power's being rerouted. That shouldn't be happening. Then, for a second, the viewport clouded. I leaned in, and there, standing on the decaying deck below us, was a woman. She wore an Edwardian dress, soaked and clinging to her like seaweed. Her eyes met mine, wide, terrified, pleading, and then she was gone. Ben dropped his camera. We aborted the dive early, I insisted. Back on the surface, I couldn't sleep. I reviewed the footage from Ben's dropped camera. Most of it was noise and shadow, but there was a frame, just one, that showed the woman. Her face wasn't just afraid, it was familiar. I didn't know how I recognized her until I found her name in the passenger log, Margaret Hale. Age 29, second class. Traveling alone, never found. The next night, I dreamed of water. I was walking down a corridor in the Titanic. The walls groaned and cold brine licked at my ankles. From behind each door, I heard voices, some praying, some sobbing, some screaming. The lights flickered as they had in the sub. I opened a door, and there was Margaret, staring into a mirror that reflected only darkness. She turned and whispered, "Why didn't you help me?" I woke up screaming. 2 weeks later, back on land, I visited a maritime museum hosting Titanic artifacts. I told myself it was research, that I needed to understand the connection. The exhibit was quiet, too quiet. In a sealed display, I saw a locket, tarnished silver, still wet-looking after all these years. The tag read, "Recovered near Lifeboat 14. Owner unknown." But I knew it. I'd seen it around Margaret's neck. As I stared, the air turned cold. Breath frosted in my lungs, and from behind the glass, a whisper rose. "Come back. We're still here." No one else reacted. I started seeing shadows and reflections, glass, water, even polished metal. Faces of the drowned, mouths open in silent screams. Doors creaked open in my apartment. Water pooled on my bathroom floor, though no pipe was leaking. I heard bells, faint, ringing from somewhere deep. One night I returned home to find my living room soaked. Salt water dripped from the ceiling. My books warped and melted like wax. In the center of the floor, the same locket. I never took it from the museum. I tried to get help. Spoke to other researchers who had visited the wreck. One, a French oceanographer, went pale when I mentioned the woman. He admitted he'd seen her too. She wants to be remembered, he said. They all do. But memory alone is not enough. They want presence. They want company. I left that meeting shaken. The final straw came 3 nights ago. I woke underwater, not metaphorically. Literally. My bed was gone, my apartment gone. I stood barefoot in a corridor of the Titanic, exactly, like in my dreams. Water up to my knees, lights dead, the sound of groaning metal all around. Behind me, footsteps. I turned. Passengers filled the hallway, pale, blue-lipped, eyes clouded, some sobbing, some praying, all staring at me. At the front was Margaret. She reached out and said, "You're one of us now," I screamed. I woke up, gasping, on my bathroom floor, soaked through with salt water. The locket clenched in my hand. I haven't left my apartment since. I unplugged every mirror, threw out every reflective surface. But it's not enough. I see them in my dreams. I hear the ship creaking, the crash of water, the screams. Sometimes I swear I'm still down there inside her, that this world, my apartment, my life, is just a flickering hallucination, that I died in that sub, and this is some echo, some loop. I don't know what's real anymore, but I do know this: the Titanic is not silent. She remembers, and her dead do not rest. So if you ever visit her, if you ever dive below those cold Atlantic waves, be careful where you look, and never meet their eyes, because they remember, and they're waiting.